still watching Signature Morning on Signature TV. The recent conviction of Nnamdi Kanu, of course, has sent ripples across the Igbo nations, stirring different emotions from frustration to anger and just, a number of emotions all the same. And so that leads us to discuss the Igbo nation after the conviction of Nnamdi Kanu with Right Reverend Ikechukwu Egbonu, who is the Bishop of Anglican Diocese of Ojiriba in Enugu State. You're very much welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, sister. Good morning.
Now, first of all, before we get into the details of this conversation, how would you describe, the mood among the Igbo nation or within the Igbo nation following the conviction of Nnamdi Kanu?
Yeah, the day Nnamdi Kanu was convicted, it looked like somebody died in Igbo land, everywhere in Igbo land. It is actually the same mood that we had the day Reverend by the news of his death was broken amongst us in Igbo land. It was like hearing the news that thousands of soldiers have been killed. It's like Igbo nation was almost buried. It looks to the average Igbo man as though it was done to tell us that we can do nothing. That's the way the feelings, because I am a bishop, the feelings on the street is what I'm bringing their way. People that came to me, people that called me and said, Bishop, what is the kind of thing? I mean, big men, airlights, people that really matter in Igbo land, Christian leaders, Igbo leaders, politicians who care. We have politicians who don't care, who care only about their stomach, where belly face. But every core Igbo man understood what happened, and there was a mourning mood everywhere on the street. And even up till now, we are still trying to revive our people to come, up with hope again, knowing that God is on the throne.
All right, then. So let's look at what this conviction means of Nnamdi Kanu actually means for the average Igbo person today. Do they see it as justice served, or this is just another deeper marginalization?
Every good thinking, right thinking Igbo man who is of core Igbo value see it as injustice and a deeper marginalization against the Igbo nation. We'll see it like that because if you look at the northern part of Nigeria, you will find people who carry AK-47 negotiating with the government. And the policemen were there, army were there, the military men were out there, and they were negotiating, and they carried their guns back. And these guns were being imported into Nigeria by some people that we don't know. And then again, if you look at the story with Igbo in the other side, he was also talking about Oduwa Republic, and he has gone free. It's no more, the case is no more being even mentioned. The other part of Nigeria, which is also a Biafran nation, part of Nigeria, which is our brother, sorry, will tell you, I will kill them, I will kill them, I will do that. And you see him carry AK-47 on camera. Nobody has arrested him. Nobody has even cautioned him. Nobody has called into order. Nothing has been done. He's still moving around free. Even a few days ago, he made a video and said, I will kill them. And then Nnamdi Kanu came talking about Igbo liberation. From that moment till now, they went to his house and almost killed everybody there. His parents, he lost his two parents because of that. Some things he did may not have been done properly because of his exuberancy as a young man. But I also believe that if the elites in Igbo land, if our leaders were part of this, if they got involved and got close to him, they will have helped to organize things and put things in proper perspective. But he was all alone doing this. But if you look at me, you will see genuine love for Igbo nation. If I met him yesterday, 2 days ago, you will see genuine love for Igbo nation. So it is an injustice from every indication because he was not given even the rights. The motion he applied for, there's a motion he applies challenging jurisdiction of the court. That would have been listened to. He was not given right to enter his final written address. And the time frame for that, for criminal matter, something that carries capital punishment, for just less than 1 month, less than 3 weeks, you have handled it. No, such a thing, you must give time to prove it beyond every reasonable doubt, if they really wanted justice. But it looks like the script was written and it has been determined it will happen this way. So we'll see it as injustice. That's what the common man in the street sees. I'm only a bishop coordinating people's thoughts. So I'm trying to air people's thoughts and people's feeling from the streets, after that conviction.
Now I understand understand that you visited Nnamdi Kanu a couple of days back, and you also mentioned it in passing while you were speaking. So can you tell us about that visit? Just give us details on your interaction with him and what you learned from your visit.
Oh, yeah. I visited him because, the Bible has an injunction that we should visit those in prison. As a bishop, I believe the church should actually play their part in some of these things to cushion effect, to bring balance to certain things, to make sure things are not overdone, to make sure that things are done within limits. So I have to really take out time to go to see him in Sokoto Prison Maximum Correction Center. And we had almost an hour or so chatting, though the prison warders were all there hearing us as we're discussing, so that we don't discuss anything incriminating. But from what I observe about him, he's in such a right frame of mind. I mean, the guy is just so cool. He's not even bothered about the whole thing. He was the one encouraging me. He was the one telling me to be encouraged and to know that he's only five. He was just encouraging, preaching to me even. And it was a good time to go. If I didn't go there, I wouldn't have known. I thought with that conviction, he would be so moody. He would feel like packing up. But right there, he was begging them to allow him to talk to his wife, which was not granted to him. And he was also asking for them to allow him talk to his lawyer. That what they do is they say they have not gotten clearance from the presidency to allow him to talk with his lawyers, because he needs to prepare his case. And he was supposed to be in Abuja today, being 28. I think today is 28. To be able to reconcile accounts with the court, the Federal High Court. He has not been granted that opportunity. The court should be able to give that summon, and that has not been done. The government has not given signal to Maximum Correction Center to bring in Sokoto. And if he doesn't come to Sokoto, to Abuja, to reconcile with the court, the account, they cannot be hearing in appeal court on the 4th of December that the case has been fixed for. So, and he's biting on his time. So they should give him justice and give him fair hearing. In England, when people are committing any crime in English land, England will give you money to buy a lawyer. They want to make sure you're not imprisoned illegally. They make sure they handle it with every sense of justice. So they should give him that listening, even if they want to do whatever, they should give him time and give him cooperation. He was supposed to be flown into Abuja. They're keeping him here in Sokoto, far away from where his trial will be happening. It may not have been the right decision, but it has been decided so. I don't know why they decided so. But he was begging. I was there when he was begging them and asking them to link up so that he can actually come to Abuja to file matters, to be able, because he was one who defended himself, to be able to correct his account with the Federal High Court, so that they can proceedings in the appeal court, without which they cannot hear him. And he has only 90 days window for this appeal court trial. So he was there, but the main thing is that he was in right frame of mind. His mood was okay. I met a lovely young man. I met somebody who is, different beyond what you see in camera. In all the prisoners there and all the warders in that cell, in that prison, were all in peace with him. In fact, the young man is likable. He has a lot of intelligence. A lot is in him. This is the first time I'm meeting him one-on-one in my life. I just want to meet him, to encourage him. And I think he's hopeful that God will see him through. He's hopeful that the appeal courts will give him justice. He's hopeful that the Nigerian presidency will understand that he's not a terrorist, that he's only fighting for his people. He's hopeful that our leaders in Igbo land, the governors and the senators, will come to terms with that fact. One of the senators was saying that because of his agitation, 3,000 people were killed. That is not a fact. Some people just frame things up and start saying, we're all in Igbo land. People were killed, yes. But most of those who were killed were not killed because of agitation. Those who were killed for agitation were killed by Nigerian military, when they were not even carrying gun. And then I don't know if others were killed, because there are a lot of people who say they are non-gunmen in Igbo land, who started claiming all kinds of things. And each time they kill, IPOB will still come and say we are not the ones. So the police should have been able to capture 1 or 2 IPOB members and bring them on board to prove that these are IPOB members caught with gun that Nnamdi Kanu commanded to go and kill. Because oratory is not a crime. Nnamdi was not seen carrying any gun anyway. He was only talking from London. And yet, I'm not justifying the whole case. I'm not saying Nnamdi Kanu has done nothing bad. But I'm saying that if he has actually committed any crime, it should be proven beyond reasonable doubt. It shouldn't be in this kind of quagmire. You know, he's looking at things being in a shady way. I do not think that the whole thing was properly done in a country like this. I've seen justice system happen other places. He opened this the judgment about 144 or 140 something pages judgment and showed me the irregularities in the judgment. I saw it as a layman. It's obvious there. Some of the things he was sentenced for were things that were committed while he was in prison. So how can somebody be in prison in this custody and commit those things? Some of the things, the charge.
All right, it's quite unfortunate. We seem to be having some network issues
It's
with
also
our
freedom.
guests, but while
Calm
we're
down.
waiting to reconnect, oh, he's back on the line. Thank
Yes.
you so much for joining
I
us back. Please continue with what you
I
were
pleaded with him. I pleaded with him to calm down. I shared the gospel with him, and then shared the love of Christ with him, and also made him to know that the Igbos don't hate him and Nigerians don't hate him. That what he's fighting for, many Hausas, many Yorubas, many Fulanis are also sharing in his thoughts. There may be some few who are enjoying from the current situation of Nigeria, but majority of Nigerians, even in the northern part of Nigeria that I've been traveling to, share in what Nnamdi Kanu is saying. I met an outside person in the north also who told me they believe in what Nnamdi Kanu is talking about. I've met a Fulani person who shared the same thought with me 1 and 2 or 3 times, different Fulanis. So I shared that with him to know that it's not actually hatred from Fulani or hatred from Yoruba, but it's actually hatred. I mean, it's a system, corrupt system of Nigeria that do not want to hear anything truthful coming from anywhere or anybody challenging status quo. And he understood it with me. And so we discussed other things that I may not be able to say online here, you know.
Okay, just something you mentioned. You said that he was pleading with them to speak to his wife and to speak to his lawyer.
Yes.
But
Yes.
were you when you were there? Was there any reason as to why they denied him access to his wife or to speak to his lawyer? Were you able to get that
The,
information?
yeah, the person in charge he was talking to told him that he has not been given order, that he was asked to strip him of every communication. So he has not been allowed to speak to anybody. So he pleaded with them to get a welfare department of the prison to put a call across to his lawyer, a lawyer Dimako, so that they can ask him few things about the things he filed to correct it in writing. Because the man is in Abuja, he's in Sokoto. The man said he has not been allowed to do so, that he doesn't want to lose his job. You know? And then he pleaded again that his wife is down and sick and crying. Can I talk with my wife? Through your own phone. The man said there's such order. He showed him in the judgment. The judgment says monitor him. He didn't, the judgment did not say he shouldn't speak to anybody. That what he would do, he would speak in English. They should bring the phone, any phone. He was speaking to his wife in English, they'll be hearing what they're saying. He will speak to his lawyer in English, they'll be hearing what he's saying. But he was told that the order has not been given from the presidency. So that was why he was deprived of that. And so his concern is that he may not be able to appear in the appeal court on 4th, fixed for his hearing, because he must come to Abuja on 28th, some days before the hearing, to reconcile matters with Federal High Court before they can carry the proceedings to the appeal court, upon which the appeal court can hear him. But such things, I don't know whether by now they have corrected it, but while I was there, it was difficult. The order has not been given yet.
All right then. So how can the Igbo leaders also balance the emotional weight of Nnamdi Kanu's conviction with the need for practical political engagement with the Nigerian state?
I really think that the Igbo leaders, beginning from our governors and the other political leaders, should come together because they are in disarray. They are not together. We are part of Nigerian system. We are all in this nation. Nobody is more Nigerian than another. They should come together and be bold enough to come together in the interest of peace in Igbo land. Because if they don't do that, I foresee something more harmful coming upon the Igbo people in the future. So I am saying this prophetically. They should be able to come together now and really come together and approach the presidency and handle this thing politically. Let Nnamdi Kanu be released. He has the freedom to agitate for Biafra, but he also told me that if Nigeria is fixed, why should he just stay for Biafra? Now, because Nigeria is going down every day, and the system you can see for yourself is going down. Where the Fulani headmen or the bandits went to a school, St. Mary's High School, and they kidnapped a whole number of students. Until today, they've not been found in our own country, where the military men positioned to keep the students in Kebi were given the intel, but eventually were withdrawn before the kidnappers attack. Until now, the person who ordered for the withdrawal has not been found. So if you look at the system, the way it is going, the borrowing that is happening every day, up to trillions of naira, and the system is somehow destroyed from the inside. You see Chinese taking our resources from the north and going back. You see France people in Sambisa taking lithium and all kinds of things going back. And these things are in the glaring of all of us. But nobody can say that because you may not be able to, you're not in government, you don't have the figures, there's nothing you can do about that. So based on that, that's why this young man is agitating. Imagine they have given him from what he told me, they have promised him heaven and earth. He refused to accept any compromise because he feels that we are not animals. We should live better. We should be ahead of European world, according to his own statement. So if Igbo leaders will come together now, I mean, whoever the chairman of governors of the Eastern Nigeria, in fact, Southeast, should come together as a people and they approach the presidency and let there be a political solution to this matter. Because I don't think that is really legally any case. I'm not a lawyer, but having inquired from some lawyers, because of the rendition that spoiled the case, and certain things filed repealed law, and where the crime was said to have been committed, there are a lot of questions of jurisdiction. So if we really want to do justice in the court, he will be released to go. And of course, appeal court had released him before, discharged him in this matter. High court also did the same. And then I don't know what happened in Supreme Court. So you can see that legally following procedures in the court, there may not be any solution because the judiciary seems to be determined one way or the other to do one. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But I think that Tinubu is a wiser person who understands that he needs every part of Nigeria. And holding this young man is creating more trouble in the East because he has people believing him. You can see that almost every Igbo man, 80% of Igbo people love him. So it's like the leader, a kind of, a social leader in Igbo land. In every nation of the world, you handle such people with care. If you don't handle them with care, it will create more problems for the people. So our governors, ranging from Soludo in the Anambra State to Hope Uzodinma in Imo State, to our brother and a very wonderful governor of Enugu State, Peter Mba, and a governor of Ebonyi State, Governor Oti of Abia State, and even Fubara. I mean, all the governors in the southeast should be able to come together and plead with Tinubu to see this thing from an eye of justice and try to see whether we can find a solution around it politically and have some agreements, some what we may call consultations and dialogue, and be able to come to terms so that we can get this matter off. And then we'll see what next will happen. That's what I think that will happen. Even though they cannot commit another crime after that, they can arrest him. But for now, let them release him if it is possible. But they cannot release him when Igbo leaders are the ones, from what we gathered from the grapevine, though, allegedly, who are the ones who are saying that it should be held. I mean, our governors, and some of the politicians, like you see also, Okalo, the other time, is saying that, saying one kind of nasty thing online. I don't know. He was talking like somebody who has been sold out or somebody who has sold his mind out. I don't know. Because you cannot hear a man talking like that about his body. I can't hear now someone talking like that about his body.
Reverend, now that Nnamdi Kanu has been convicted, does the Igbo nation also need a new strategy for pursuing the political and economic inclusion in Nigeria? And what could that strategy actually look like?
I think in the Igbo nation, the strategy I think that we should look at may not be something I can really say online, but let me bring the ones I can say online. Number one, Nnamdi Kanu is there, his own case is there, but I think the Igbo leaders lack one thing: unity. There is a place where Igbo leaders should be able to come together in unity and working with the church, because Igbo nation is probably majorly Christian domain. Working with the church to enlighten our people so that we begin to talk about inclusion. It is so bad that in this republic, no Igbo man has any serious position in the government. And we have no place in government. And even the Igbo businessmen are being marginalized in different ways. I will not be able to say here. So the Igbo leaders should come together and start discussing strategy. Now, that unity is the first strategy that we need. I think we have discordant voices, both in the church and in politics and in other places, because in the church you have Anglican, Roman Catholic, saga. You have Pentecostals also in their own cases. And then in the government, even Igbo and Anambra and Imo may not be able to agree in certain things. All right? And then Imo and Abia can't agree. So we must see ourselves as a people and come together to think of our common good than individual good. The moment we're able to kill self-interest, that's the first one. The second one is that we should be able to decide who rule us in Igbo land. Because it looks like most of the governors in Igbo land, not all of them, were given. They were not elected by our people. So they are serving those who implanted them. So they have not interest of Igbo man in his heart. So the Igbo should be able to say no to this and stand to decide who rule them at any given time the election is happening. So that nobody will buy his votes, nobody will buy the position, but we elect who we want so that we can have reason to ask him for account. These things are the things we'll do. So that when we send somebody to the house, like Habari Benyin there, and you will see him talking for us. But others are not talking because they have been planted, either through the court. They spend some money to buy judgment, or they meet one or two persons in the north who influence their winning in the courts. And so they are there for the people. They have to close their mouth. And some of them are so corrupt. So that's the third one. If you are not corrupt, you can talk. But when you are corrupt, you cannot talk because when you talk, they open your file for you. I am sure that if any Baribe has any skeleton in the cupboard, he will have been gouged by now. I am sure that if Peter Obi has something, Peter Obi of Anambra State, former governor of Anambra State, he has something in the skeleton in the cupboard, they will have gouged on him. But because they have stressed and couldn't find anything on him, he can continue talking and walking freely. So once you soil your hands, he that goes to equity must go with clean hand, they say.
Right. Now, I want to ask you this question. Looking at this conviction of Nnamdi Kanu, what would you say that this conviction, the impact or the influence it will have on the relevance or even the legitimacy of the IPOB movement, among the Igbo people? Do you think that this might also have an impact in the security in the southeast and, just the socio-economic climate in the southeast as regards to IPOB?
Yes, it could have in three ways. One, the average Igbo man is Biafra by ideology. So apart from IPOB, the Biafran struggle has not died. It's an ideology. And you cannot kill it with guns. You only kill it with negotiation and inclusion in the Nigerian scheme. So if the Nigerian government wants to kill the Biafran thing, they should bring Igbos on the table. There should be an inclusion of the Igbo man and the welfare of the Igbo man in the table. You can't believe there is Igbo men as strong as we are in business have no single seaport in Igbo land functional. There is no single international airport in Igbo land that is functional. Even the Enugu airport is now grounded. Thank God for Peter Mba and all his effort to bring it back to life. Imo airport is grounded. These are two airports that should be international. And so it's like there is a conspiracy against the Igbo man that there will not be any multinational company in Igbo land. It's like even when they did their, the coastal highway, Igbos were excluded. In the rail system, excluded. And certain things that are happening. Thank God for Buhari, for Tinubu anyway, who eventually established what they call Eastern Nigeria, whatever, development, whatever. And thank God for that. And that is there. So as long as those questions of marginalization and injustice to the Igbo man, since after the war, that looks like the war is still going on, is not handled, the Biafran thing remains an ideology that cannot be killed in the Igbo man's mind. That feeling of being marginalized by Nigeria can never go. That feeling of being hated by Nigerians may never be able to be erased from the Igbo man's mind, even though we are hardworking people. And that's one. And the number two, IPOB, Nigeria has prescribed it long ago, but people are still part of it. There are people who are still claiming to be IPOB members. So I do not think it's something they can kill easily. You see, if Buhari did not fall into the trap of arresting Nnamdi Kanu in the year he arrested him, this IPOB thing wouldn't have gone this wide. If they didn't rendition him from Kenya, maybe this thing has started dying a gradual death. I mean, it was going down already, not actually dying. It was normalizing, a kind of. But when they rendition him, the thing went to another height again. Now, the conviction they have given him, now, handed over to him now, has actually, like somebody I was talking to a few days ago, told me he didn't believe in IPOB affair. But since the Nigerian government has, sentenced Nnamdi Kanu to prison, that his own love for IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu has increased. So the more you treat somebody bad, the more you whip sentiments and the compassion in his favor. So that's what's happening. So the conviction of Nnamdi Kanu will rather increase the sentiment, increase the emotional feelings, increase the compassion, the sympathy that so many Igbos will have for him, compared to if he was released. The Igbo man is a businessman who is more focused in his business. So I do not think that the conviction will rather kill it. I think the conviction may rather whip up the sympathy further. That's what I think, that because you can see people commenting, talking in social media. Even those who are not part of this, we are coming up to talk now. Even politicians who hated him are now talking in his favor. People who don't even want to see him are talking in his favor, because it's now like Igbos versus others.
Reverend. Reverend, thank you. Our time is up already. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
One more thing before we go. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu told me to tell Igbo youths to calm down. He said there should be no violence anywhere. This is one thing he kept sounding while I was there. He said it more than 10 times. That nobody should kill anybody. Nobody should go protesting. Nobody should go to the street doing any kind of riots. That everybody should calm down. That the right step is being taken for him to come out. That they should give time for him to come out instead of creating more problem for him while he's there. He said again, they should know that if they go killing people, they will now conclude, yes, that we are terrorists, like they said. So I am begging in his behalf, let all Igbo youths, airlights, pastors, bishops, talk to their members. Let there be calmness in eastern Nigeria. Let's follow the process through appeal court and see how it ends. May God bless Igbo land. May God bless Nigeria as a nation. May God bless Mazi Nnamdi Kanu where he is. And God bless every one of us. Even the church in the east is lifted to his glory. Amen.
Right. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for joining us, Reverend Dr. Ikechukwu Egbonu. Thank you for joining us this morning. Of course, the guest is the Bishop of Anglican Diocese of Oji River, Enugu State, and we talked on the Igbo nation after conviction of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And just to note that Reverend Dr. Ikechukwu had seen Nnamdi Kanu 2 days ago in Sokoto, and of course, that's the base of our conversation this morning. Thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, then this is where we hand over Signature Morning to the Abuja studio. We are done here in the Enugu studio. Abuja will be taking up from us any moment from now. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms. We're always live on YouTube 247 and on SLTV Channel 265. I am Quinsley Rowland.
And of course, it's always a pleasure to have you join us on Signature Morning. I am Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha. Goodbye.